We're back!
Hi, I'm Karin Skasel.
I'm Cerelia Rose.
And we'd like to welcome you to the final production of The Fiber Factor, live from Times Square in New York City. And today we're going to be talking to our 4 finalists, and we're going to begin with Lauren Riker.
Next up we have Lauren Riker's collection, and she was inspired by luminance and radiance, losing my words, and she used yarns that sparkle. She used Giuliana Kidseta Luxe with this first garment, Stardust, and there's also beaded elements in there. So this dress is actually reversible. You can choose to have the neckline higher in the back or lower in the front, or switch that around if you'd like to have a scoop neck in the back or front. It's also, there's a subtle pinstripe with a bit of a pearl detail. You can kind of see those. And it's just light as a feather. She used only 4 balls of the Kidseta for this size. Is that right? 4 balls? Yeah. That's 100 grams of kid mohair, and the little beaded elements are just here and there. The yarn is sparkling on its own too. There's a glittering thread that comes with that. Luminous is made with Zitron Silk and Giuliana Kidseta, and that is the second garment here. The hood is convertible. Lauren is sort of a master with hoods and cowls, so she knows exactly what proportions they need to be to function well and to look really dramatic and drapey and not feel like too much fabric. You can actually put that over your shoulders as a shoulder warmer, so you can wear it up as a hood or down around your neck, or yes, as a shoulder warmer. That looks like a whole separate piece, but it's attached. It's not going to go anywhere. And you can kind of see she has a diamond pattern that gets a little bit smaller at the top but larger on the bottom, so it's a fun little texture play there. And that's called Luminous, if I didn't say that. Next up we have the Moondrop Felted Purse made with Artfelt, so you can probably see that they had to do something in Artfelt, it had to be an accessory, and it had to be something that we could kit up and sell as a kit. So this is a purse that she made with a pattern piece, and she made the felt and she'll include the pattern piece. And you can embellish with a brooch or something that you have in your own collection, or have fun shopping for it. And the handle is actually made with braided pencil roving that's then been felted. So it coordinates with her collection. Perfect proportions to it. It holds just enough.
Welcome, Lauren. It's so great to see you. You got a great dress on, too.
You too. Thank you. I made it.
We'll have to talk about that one, too. But let's see what you've got for us today.
All right, so this is my final collection. For my final collection, I chose 2 dresses. As a designer, I really love pushing boundaries of like what can be knitted, and I know that there are a lot of knitted dresses out there, but it's still a pretty small category. So I just really wanted to explore knitting dresses in these really luxurious, lightweight fibers. All of the fibers I use throughout the collection have a silk content in them, which makes them, very luxurious and lightweight, and they have that beautiful sheen. And as you can see, I have a lot of delicate details throughout each of the pieces, which you can really appreciate when you're close up. I also explored using different diamond stitch patterns, and with the names of the dresses, this one's called Stardust, this one's called Luminous, and this purse is called Moondrop. I had this kind of like light theme. I had the word radiance in my head when I was designing this collection, and I wanted to design pieces that really made a woman feel like she was shining and sparkling through like metallic yarns and beads, and even this one, it feels like it's shining because of the color combination. So this first dress here, Stardust, is my redo of the Knit Your Life Challenge. This dress is inspired by my love for burlesque costumes and my troupe, the Pink Chardonnays. It definitely has a 20s glamour influence in it, but it's very like up to date and modern for today. And as for the Knit Your Life Challenge, I think it really says a lot about my lifestyle in New York. Like, I love going out and getting glammed up, and it's perfect for a night out in the winter. And I also reference my background as a lingerie designer by making a piece that looks actually really fabulous over a beautiful piece of lingerie that you own. As you can see in these photos here, I'm wearing a beautiful lace slip that I personally own, and here I just put a basic cotton tank top, so it looks really great and really kind of transforms the garment. It's also reversible. You can wear it with a high neck and a scoop back, or you can have a more traditional scoop neck front and high back, and the skirt's exactly the same in front and back, so you can totally just turn it around.
Turn it around so we can see it?
So
Okay.
that's the back, and then it has all these beaded details. So
Thank you.
I see in the photo there's some dart lines. Is that an optical illusion, or is it the lace lines that are?
there are increases, throughout these darts here and at the sides, and then there's also a very subtle seed stitch pattern that goes along the skirt to give those flattering lines along there. So, and you're welcome to check out these photos to see what it looks like on a human. And should I go into my next?
Did you double strand the yarn, or is it single strand?
I didn't. It's actually, you can tell in that photo, it's very sheer. I use a size 7 needle, so it's sheer, but not like totally sheer. But you definitely need to wear something underneath it. And I know I talked about using or knitting a slip, but I found that you really need a similar color because it shines through so much. And I thought another layer of knitting might not be the best idea. So
I think that was a good call. It would have been a lot of knitting too.
Yeah, for sure. So this next piece here is called Luminous, and this was really inspired by the swatch that I knit. When I knit the mohair with the Philisilk, which is a merino and silk blend, it just created this super luxurious and soft, fuzzy fabric that you just wanted close to your skin. It was just so cozy. And so I immediately thought sweater dress with like this really cozy cowl. And as you can see, I've used these 2 diamond stitch patterns. They're very subtle, and it changes at the natural waist to flatter the waist. And there's a fun surprise in the back. There's an open back, which, it's really open, but it covers your bra straps, for ease of wear. And I think the woman's back is one of the most beautiful parts of the body, and so I just really wanted to show that off. But really the special part about this dress is the cowl. I made it so that it actually increases a lot as it goes up, and it's really long, so you can wear it tons of different ways, not only as a cowl in so many different ways, but you can actually fold it over your shoulders, and it's kind of like sleeves, and it covers your back. And so if you want a little more coverage, you have that option. And I've shown you there's 7 key ways that you can wear it, as you can see here. And then if you flip it around, you'll see how the back transforms with the different ways that you wear it. Like a half closed back is really cool as well. So you're welcome to check those out.
Great. Uh-huh. Okay, we'll ask our questions when you're done.
And then my last
fabulous.
piece here for the Artfelt project is this is called my Moondrop Purse. And I did that to kind of like tie in these 2 dresses using the gray and the purple, and I cross-hatched the colors when I made the felt, so it created this really like beautiful like marbled color and fabric. And because of the Artfelt process, it's just so smooth. I actually put a little swatch on the back of
I was wondering what that was.
so you can touch it.
Sure. Oh, here we go.
And I was really thinking about the person making this at home. It's really simple to make. I included a pattern there, which you'll find, and it shows there's 12 steps to make this purse, and I've included photos of each and every step, so it's really easy for the homemaker to make. And I love it because it even though it's homemade, it looks like something that you might find like in an upscale boutique, and it really complements like the Stardust dress with like the matching jewels. And that's another fun part of this is the person who's making it can add their own special brooch or jewel and really customize it and make it look special. So this is my collection, and I hope you like it.
I do like it. There's a lot. I like your color choices. I think they're more mature than what you've had in the past, and I think that they're excellent choices. I also like the way you design to fit a woman's body, which is really nice. There's not a lot of that out there that features the woman's body. Usually we're knitting things that disguise our body, and this actually features a lot of, well, you're not, but I'm always wearing things that disguise my body.
Hey,
this is so the one comment that I do have is, and I love the little bag, but the one thing I think I would have done differently is the handle. the braided felted handle
Yeah.
makes me feel like
It's
it is
beautiful, but
Yeah, you
if it
know,
would have had,
yeah.
I'm just trying to think, maybe even
I
a little
know.
chainette or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought it might be
um,
cute just like as a just a little handle.
It's and it's not that it's bad. It's just that if it would have that little chain on there, then I really would think that it came from a really nice boutique. It's
Yeah.
the I guess I just see so many felted handles on homemade type things.
Yeah, that is as chic
That's-
as felted handbags can look.
Yes.
But I think a chain would make it
Yeah.
increase the
It-
utility, which I think what I love.
Send it over the top. would be
Yeah,
great.
the utility. I mean, these are very practical garments. Like they're very beautiful, but they're also. I love the versatility and also the fact that you can switch it around depending on how you're feeling or what you want to show off that day. It's like day to night. It's perfect day to night stuff to stay in the office. Maybe not the office, but then go out on a date, and switch it around, or then meet the boyfriend's parents and switch it around and cover up a little. I think that's really, really cool. And I also love, like Karin said, these color choices are great, but they're mature, but they're still very feminine. They're still very soft. I don't feel like you compromised at all.
So tell me, Lauren, why should we pick you as the winner?
Good question. Well, I think I've shown you guys that I've really listened to you and tried to grow throughout this competition, through both of your comments and Josh. I've tried to elevate my designs and, try to appeal to a broader audience. And, I think I've shown consistency in my craftsmanship and my execution. And, I've just, and I really want to win.
That's a great reason.
I want to go to Germany. I'm German and I've never been to Germany. Nagari is the name of his collection, which means flow, and the first piece is called Yorokubi, and it's knit with Zitron Silk. Now, Zitron Silk is a solid color yarn. It doesn't come in striping colors, which means that he put together this stripe sequence unique to him, and it is absolutely beautiful. He also changed texture. There's Phil Royal as well, so you get a matte, shiny contrast, and then light, cool. It's really amazing. He's also doing something where if you can see the texture at the top, it's stockinette here, but garter other places, and at the cuff as well. So you get a lot of shaping that's subtle, but very, very masterfully done. And his edging at the bottom is a really interesting thing as well that you'll have to watch the judging to hear about. The back detail on this is really stunning, and you could actually leave the bottom undone if you wanted to have more of an A-line tunic shape. Megumi is also knit with Silk from Zitron and Shilana Kitsera. They were actually required to re-knit something that they had knit before. Actually, never mind. We'll explain that later. Megumi is a cardigan that's actually the stitch pattern he came up with himself. And I almost like this one reversible. They're both beautiful and very, very different. The color change comes from this Kitsera Jubilee, which changes colors on its own. And the other one is solid color, I believe, the Silk. It's a cardigan that's knit on the bias, so John's explanation for this one was kind of mind-blowing, and I would like to see this piece knit in an entire gown, sort of like his Artfelt gown, because it's curve-hugging and the sizing is really interesting, very adaptable and very flattering. Bunka Izan, is made with Artfelt, and it's really masterful. He manipulated, as you can see, there's a transparency to it. You can see he used Nuno felting techniques to get a very interesting motif on the front there, and he also embellished with stitching. So if you look at it up close, it almost looks like an antique piece you would find in a museum. And towards the edges, it gets a little more solid, a little more opaque, and just really captures the theme of his collection.
All right, well, welcome, John.
Thank you.
Are you ready to show us your collection?
I am. I'm
Excellent.
excited.
We're ready to see it.
Fantastic. I started with the whole theme of nagare, which is Japanese for flow or current. And so that sent me into a very specific palette. Specifically with the first piece, I went back to the inspiration time in my life of Challenge 1, which was my childhood, growing up in the mountains and the forests, and that very idyllic environment. But I took a much more conceptual approach this time rather than a literal approach. And I remember as a little kid, you see everything through the verticals of trees. Everything that you see, when you see the lakes and the snow and all of that, it's all about filtering through trees. what I love about the development of this piece is that it looks like it's just lines, but the lines, only through knits and purls, are constantly breaking, and that's what causes all the shaping in the piece. There are no increases or decreases. It's all through the exchange of knits and purls. So it releases up front. And this is actually knit all in short row shapings, but it comes off square when you start releasing the tensions.
Can you hold that up again so I can see it again? That's very
So
nice.
the short rows, we cast on initially the whole length, and then pick up progressively more and more.
Great.
But it knits up rather square and tubular because of the release of the tensions.
Got it.
When we get to the back, there's just a little bit, just enough. I love attention to the backs of pieces. I don't like to throw a lot to the front often because I think that starts competing with the woman who's wearing it. Whereas this becomes, I want to know her, and then you get to meet her on the other side. The shaping is really gentle, but again, with all the flat work here, it tapers into the back, I think, really quite nicely. I did use one skein of the Fill Royal. All the rest is Fill Silk doubled color blending. It's done in 5 colors, which creates a lot more tones with the color blending. Moving on to the next piece, which is called Nagumi. In Japanese, depending on how it's spelled, that either means grace as a given name or twist and rotate. So when I started working with the Kitseda Jubilee, it has a sort of soft striping pattern, which I knew for me had to be put vertically. The lining up of pieces was going to be problematic and all of that. But I didn't want a static fabric, again, this theme of flow. So I developed this stitch pattern. It's very simple. It works over any number of stitches. It actually works on a bias. So while you're knitting straight pieces, the pieces themselves are all angled. The beautiful thing about that is when you go to assemble it, you can custom fit on the body rather than reknit it, because this shoulder is only knit 4 inches wide. But because I wanted a wider shoulder on the particular model I was seeing it on, especially for fall, wanted a little more snug. So I took that front panel and just anchored it into the back. And the stitching becomes continuous. It's the simplest thing in the world, and I think it's kind of amazing. There's that frustration, right, for knitters of, I've knit it, it's not the right fit, the sizings aren't right,
Sure.
I have to rip, I have to do that. Not with this. It just shapes. When you look at the back, the gentle draping on the back, it's all very symmetrical because of the bias.
So you developed the stitch.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Could we see it inside
That's-
out? I mean, I know the
You'll see the seaming,
Yeah,
which is, you know what?
we love
It's
exposed
actually
seams.
fine.
It looks really great.
It's actually fine with the seaming.
Because having it to be reversible, especially the colors change entirely. I mean, you get a whole different.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I almost like it better that way.
It's a sportier, more
And
relaxed.
I like it
it has
better,
a
but it's
pinstripe look.
just as lovely. The stitch pattern
very
is
different,
beautiful
yeah.
on both
The
sides.
only challenge with this that
Yeah.
I was having and didn't present it this way
Yeah.
was because when it opens, it doesn't
Doesn't curl.
want to rotate.
Right,
Yeah.
but then it
So this is great clothes.
Yeah. Oh.
But either way, pick it up, throw it on, go out the door.
Yeah.
Something I really was very fond of.
That's a great stitch pattern.
Thank you.
I really like it. That's one thing that we have seen throughout the whole show from you is stitches, and the way you use stitch patterns has been amazing.
And then we get to the third piece, which is called Bankaisa, which means heritage, specifically cultural heritage. I actually went back to the kits, the craft kits that I loved doing as a kid in the 70s, string art. And doing that through art, it can only be felted that way, to my knowledge, with Artfelt paper. I don't know any other way to achieve this. And it's actually worked from the front back, so you layer it up. And because there's definitely a front and back, or a
Right and
obverse and
wrong.
reverse
Yeah,
to it, I wanted to avoid the colors poking through. So I brought in, at the very end, a little Nuno felting technique, which is basically just laying the fiber down
Sure.
on something that's
And-
wet and then
yeah.
spraying that down.
Yeah.
And the methods of felting hold together beautifully. So this is an adapted lotus motif.
Okay.
And then I went much more wabi-sabi, which is an aesthetic I love so much, that rusticated, been around, been handed down. And so when the cobweb felting produces these open areas. They're still very solid. You can't put your fingers through them or anything like that. But I thought, what happens if we start to bring in the stitch of that back, the stitch of this front, into this piece and create that sense of attention and care over time?
The cohesion of the whole group is very good. I mean, it's all pulled together very, very nicely, and the patterns, the stitch work is just beautiful too. I do have a question on this one here.
Which one?
When you turn it around, number one.
Yes.
When you turn it around, so for people who wouldn't want to accentuate their waist, if you took the stitches out on the bottom
You took this out
and left that one in,
Exactly. What you get is almost a
little bit of
smock type of drape. So
You
it's
get a
very
flare.
fitted in the shoulder, which I like fitted shoulders, and
Okay.
then it just drapes out all to the end. Again, it's
that could be really
there's
pretty
so
too.
much fitting in the stitching that it's not just a big shapeless thing. It tends to almost flower petal as it opens.
And is it hem?
Not only are the edges clean, they're very interesting. There's a channel
Yeah.
of pearl, and then there's an I-cord. Is it an I-cord edge?
No, the edge. What I
Okay.
did, I simply dropped stitches and laddered them back up because rather than doing a pearl stitch,
Yeah.
which creates too loose an exchange of the yarn, the laddering up was much more effective on 2 rows. And then I simply took the slip stitched line and whip stitched it down, and that's done here as well.
This is the
That's
most
my custom.
sellable pieces that you've made in the whole
Thank
thing,
you.
and they're very sellable. I think they're beautiful, and
But
the colors
still-
are nice too.
There's artistry here, obviously.
Oh
I mean,
yeah, there is. I
yeah.
mean, the stitches and the way the shaping is worked and everything. But I'm just saying, I mean, you've had some quite amazing pieces. It's just some of the sellability isn't, like for instance, your redo on this one. The first one, I love the first one. So tell us, why should you win?
Because I'm ready.
You ready?
No, seriously. I mean, and this is not. It's hard to talk about yourself in this context without somehow throwing other people under the bus, and that's not my intention at all. I think they're
Right.
beautiful friends of mine. As I sit here staring at their faces, but my whole life is kind of geared up to this point. I not only understand responsibilities as a designer and the creativity and what I get from it, but it's about making contacts with yarn distributors and magazine publishers and yarn shops and all of that. Through my earlier career, if I'm choreographing something, I speak the language of musicians. I understand their concerns, so I can talk to the musical director or the composer. I understand how to translate their language through my work for them. And I didn't know how much I knew that this way until the journey of this competition, quite frankly. I was making things to make things. And I've just realized so much through this that, I'm ready. I'm ready to sit down to those meetings, and I'm ready to sit down with the swatches and the color palettes and the trends and the forecasts. I'm not a slave to trends, but I can pull them in. And work with those accessories and the other items that are much more disposable in sort of fabric fashion
Right.
with longer lasting pieces.
We have the 3 pieces from Tracy Percher. We have, here I have Vivian, which is in Shuffles Aberbola. It's a beautiful sleeve. The sleeve is really the part here that we really fixated on. She did mitering and shaping, and you can actually move the buckles on top, which are also from Jewel. You can make them closer in if you want a little more coziness. She did mitered squares on the bottom and manipulated the yarn to get exactly the gradient that she wanted. It's gorgeous, it's rich, and it's really different. Selma was made with Haiku Kenzie with Shulana Kitseda. She double-stranded it, as she did with her Bravura, which was a winning piece. And the Kitseda just changes the color of the Kenzie. And on the sleeves, it's actually single-stranded, so you don't have bulk all over. It's really well thought out. She included a belt, which you can use to manipulate the shape. And the collar can be opened or splayed. There's also, if you lift the sides, we can see that the sides are actually a tabard, little kind of attached piece. So you don't have lots and lots of fabric. It's almost a cape. I mean, it's really interesting. Chloe is made with Artfelt, And Tracy brought a little flip book for us to see how to make this. She makes it with strips that are molded over a roll of paper towel roll, so you use that to felt onto. And it's really a really cool way of doing millinery, and you get this really fantastic turn-up rim. It's also very solid felt. Artfelt is great because you can manipulate it to be a gauzy, flowy, soft fabric, or you can have a firm, half fabric that would repel water and all the elements. So Tracy's collection is named after strong women. They're actually named after the mannequins that keep her company while she's designing. So this is Tracy Percher's collection.
Here we are with Tracy Percher once more. Welcome.
Thank you.
Can you tell us about your line?
Alrighty, well, altogether, it's my women. It's my girls. And we have Vivian, Selma, and Chloe, which happen to be the names of my dress forms at
Okay.
home. Because those girls are really close to me. They're the only ones that have ever seen my designs before this competition. Seriously.
Oh, really?
Even my husband hasn't seen anything. I was... So let me tell you how much this is. I have grown in here. So let's start with this one. It was the first piece. It's my redo of challenge number 1. The one I crashed and burned so badly on. I went with it with a little different way in that I wanted it to show more of me and who I am. And I'm the kind of person that likes to push the limits, explore what I can make and the fabric do. And this is all done in one piece. It starts off with this very large cast on at the neck. It's basically a top-down raglan, except it has a delayed increase down this way.
Okay.
So it forms the sleeve right along with it, and then it gives me this kind of flange right at the shoulder, which kind of mimics the flange of the shoulder up here. We've got the flange, an inverted flange down here at the elbow. And the way we come down here at the bodice and where we join the stitches, then these squares are mitered with the shared center, and then in a single line, or single row all the way around and back and around. So it goes from center back.
Wow. Are they
Center
Kitchener?
front, center back.
Wow.
Are they Kitchener together? How do they
A
share?
provisional cast on,
Okay.
and then just pick it up.
Wow.
And I
Your
have-
techniques are always really interesting.
That's what drives
You're a
me.
technique person, definitely.
I've got to push it and see what else I can do, what I can manipulate this material to do, this
Yeah.
kind of molding, sculpting
Sure.
kind of thing.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
can you tell us about your yarn choice on that one?
The yarn is Silverwaller.
Yeah, close.
Yeah,
That's pretty
Silverwaller,
close.
very good.
And it is the ombre yarn, but it takes 7 balls of yarn, or 8 balls of yarn to do this. I didn't want to have an ombre, another set of ombre, another set of ombre. And so I took all the yarn and I rewound it into center pole with only 2 colors, so I could pull from each end to make sure that I progressed from dark and then, so I could even it out. And then move on to Selma here. She's number 2. She's made with Kinsey, the Kinsey, which I absolutely love, adore. And the front part of the tunic or jacket, is double Kinsey with 1 strand of mohair. I wanted to push myself not only in the shape and the design, but also I bought orange. I used orange mohair, a color way beyond my comfort zone, and to see if I could work it. I chose a rather simple stitch pattern because I didn't want to fight with the tweediness of the yarns. And then and I wanted to make it look like almost 2 garments in one, where it is all just one. And work these side panels, the side panel sleeves.
Can we just
And
show,
just-
turn it and show? I just want everyone to see that it's open on the side.
just
So it's
so-
almost
yeah.
like tabard.
It's almost like a tabard,
Very cool.
but with a piece underneath. This is just 1 strand of Kinsey with the mohair. It gives it just a little bit different color, and then also it plays with the gauge to make it just look a little bit different. Jewel closures, because I fell in love with them. I wanted to use more.
They are great.
Yeah.
Jewel does a great job. Yeah. So.
It can be, I like this piece too because I think it can be worn so many different ways. If the collar is dropped and left open, and this is allowed to hang free and sway, it just makes a really nice casual piece. Well, this one's kind of buttoned up like an army for one kind of thing. This one, opened and letting it swing really just makes a whole nother different look. I wish I could put it on and show you.
Can you turn it around so we can see the back as well? And then can
The
you
back.
lift the back up so we can see what's under there?
There's nothing.
There's
under
nothing
the
under
back.
that one. It's just
the side panels.
Just the side panels. Okay.
And then for
And-
the Artfelt, I made the hat.
Very nice.
It's just completely molded. There's no seams or anything. It's just make the yarn, stretch it over a mold. I paid particular care to make sure that I had molds that would commonly be found in someone's house.
Sure.
Mixing bowl and roll of paper towels.
And did you
Okay.
actually make it on the paper flat and then
Yes.
shape it?
Yes.
Did you
Really?
see the flip book? There's that.
Oh,
she made this amazing
interesting.
shape. It's like
Yeah.
a shape that you use.
It has a shaped pattern to it. Here's the pattern piece for the kit.
Very nice. Very nice.
I really want to know about your palette. What's behind this?
I didn't go black. I like I said, I chose the orange for that to go with that because I need to try and step out of my own comfort zone, and I am strictly black and gray.
Now I have a question about that. All your stuff has been very adventurous in terms of color, with the exception of the blank slate. But I mean, we did come down on you hard for your color choice. So, it's interesting to hear you say that you feel, that you need to be adventurous. Because I never would have pegged you for being, not having color bravery. But this is just so. It's almost too somber, but it's very sophisticated, very deep, very. And I just wanted to know if you always have.
It's what I would wear.
Great. Okay, that's cool.
Okay.
Yeah, it's rich and
A lot of the
colorful.
other garments that I've made, I wouldn't wear them in those colors.
Yeah.
But I know I'm, somber and
Yeah.
closed up in I've gotten wild. So
Yeah.
I decided to be a little bit more comfortable, go with what I want.
Well, I think it works.
And I'd wear them.
I like it.
I do want to get up. I keep getting up. Sorry.
I really want to try on that
I
sleeve
wanna
too to see
feel
how
on-
it
feel
works.
Okay. I just wanted to see what the fabric actually felt like because it seems like it's knitted so tight, but it's really not.
Well, it just gets more and more difficult.
I know. So tell us why should you win this competition?
So I think it'll be fun. I should win if I'm what you're looking for. Okay. I know I do have out there different aesthetic, different ways to go. I'm an adventurous kind of person, and I like to try something new, something different every time. How can I manipulate it? How can I do it? And I have that's my niche. And if you're looking for a fill for that niche, that's where I belong.
Next up we have Terry Rosenthal, and it is a three-piece collection as well. We have the Yona sweater coat, I think. It's Jana, I don't know where Terry is. Sorry, I'm going to assume it's silent. Yona, it's Finnish. So this collection was inspired by her Finnish students, and the Yona sweater coat is knit with haiku simply worsted. It is, I believe, 4 colors there, very bold choices, and she has a skinny sort of saddle effect at the top that sort of defines the line. Really fun, and she made her own buttons. Terry's really good at making findings and fastenings. If she doesn't find the ones she loves, she'll make her own. And we loved this piece for its graphic boldness. Nice and cozy, and there's pockets as well. Everyone loves pockets in a garment, so. The Nina Day dress is knit with Zitron Unisono and Chulana Kitseta. There's a detached hood that you can wear with it or choose to wear on its own or by itself. It has a bit of a Mad Men appeal, as she said. And the bottom, you can sort of see the motif from the top is carried down to the bottom, but with texture. So you can see it changes from the mohair to just the Unisono merino, nice and smooth, and then into a fuzzy. So you get the motif all the way through. And it's a really flattering shape. It's got a sort of optical illusion effect. Very cute. Taya, is that how I say it? Okay, Taya crop wrap jacket is made with Artfelt, and she carried this motif and the colorways all the way through the collection for nice cohesion. You can wear this many different ways. Terry's also a master of convertible garments, and you can wear your hands through the sleeves there in the back. These are all attached and detachable. The little clip in the back, these are all not from Jewel, but similar to the Jewel. You can take them off without damaging the felt and rearrange them if you like.
We have Terry Rosenthal. And what have you got for us?
Well, the final challenge, yeah. So I did something for a journey for me, and so the whole process has been a journey. So I named it Turka after my students who came here from Finland. And when they came, they brought over really great fabrics and Marimekko things and then I needed to prove myself with ColorWorks from my debacle with Challenge 2. And so that hence my remake, which is a drop shoulder and ColorWorks. Something that was wearable and fun, and I named it after my student Yona, who this kind of reminded me of her. Really casual and fun and just carefree kind of thing. So a nice weekends kind of thing, sweater. And so it had side pockets, and I could not find 11 buttons anywhere. So I ended up felting the buttons.
Wow.
With the same felting that I used in the last piece over plastic rings and with the paper, so they'd be nice and hard, and then molding them and throwing them in the dryer until I could get this great kind of feel for them.
Now, is that the Simply Worsted?
This is the Simply Worsted.
Okay. So that was your remake.
And then I loved working with the mohair, and so I wanted to, have, basically the whole idea was to throw everything in a bag and one pair of shoes, maybe a couple pieces, and then go. And you didn't have to worry about, a whole bunch of things to think about. And so I, wanted to do a nice, sophisticated dress that women could go out into it.
Can you turn it around? I didn't see the back.
And
The
so
actual piece. I didn't.
the back has the deep V.
I've got a lot of back work today.
I'm like everybody else. I think a woman's back is one of the most beautiful aspects of a woman.
What yarns are we? Is it also the Simply Worsted mixed with the
No,
Kitseta or Unisono?
Unisono.
Okay.
Yes, and I
Okay.
started that here,
So that has-
and then brought in the geometric trim, which I used throughout, and then from there brought up the color change by just adding the mohair in, and then pulled it up the same way. And I yanked it out numerous times, and this was the color I ended up liking.
So you're holding the mohair with the unisono in the turquoise areas too, am I right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, and that gives it that halo
Yeah.
kind of.
So you have
look.
two different colors of the actual kitseta in there. You've got
Yes.
a teal color and you have a brown.
This is the brown, and
Got it.
then
Okay.
and then this is the.
The
I
teal.
think it's like a marine blue.
Yeah, okay.
And so it's really beautiful. And then the other was a teal. So when you blended them together, you got this just really beautiful feel to it. And then the last piece was a felted piece, which was. My interpretation was that it was supposed to be for an adventuresome beginner with no sewing and something that they could make easily. And so I wanted a piece that they could put together and take apart, not just as a one piece, like a wrap,
Sure.
And so pieces that would come apart. And these are easily bought at any craft store. So that was the other thing. I didn't want women have to hunt. And they just snap off the back, and you pop them small through the felting. And so you could have it just as like a wrap and use that.
Is it actually, it's a rectangle that, oh, I see.
It's a beautiful
keep turning
long
it.
rectangle.
Okay. That you
and
shaped with the...
Then shaped. And then you can take it apart and reshape it again. So if you were going away with it, you'd have all these little pieces and shape it into a skirt or something else.
It definitely has once more, the cohesion. All of you did a fabulous job with your cohesion, I must say. So it just all works together very well, and yet each piece is very different. So I think the creativity on the buttons is great too. The one thing on this piece is I think, although it would have been a lot more work, if you would have done intarsia instead of fair isle, it would have been a smoother transition between the sections. So tell us, why should you win the competition?
Oh, jeez, that's the question nobody actually wants to answer. Because actually, I feel like we're all winners.
Oh, you guys are
Yes,
all winners.
that's-
You guys have fabulous pieces here. I'm really impressed.
And so, but I've really grown. I didn't come into this with a background of pattern making. If you guys saw my patterns prior, for me in my showroom, oh my God, I'd pick a piece of paper and just scribble them down and with little sketches, and when okay, 20 stitches here, and it was really crazy. And that's how I would do production work for years. This has been an eye-opener, and I've learned so much. I wanted to present something that was a little more sophisticated and really more what I do. Not like this is what we have to do, but at the end more of a reflection of me and who I am as a designer.
And is this you then?
This is me.
This is you.
That's me, yes.
That is you.
That's me losing
Good.
20 pounds.
So now we've come to the point where we need to make a decision who's going to be the grand prize winner of the very first Fiber Factor.
I've really been dreading this.
I know. So we've got some decisions to make. We had 4 collections, and so why don't we start first with? Well, they all had fabulous collections, but why don't we start with Lauren?
Okay.
Lauren she really did listen to all the constructive notes that we gave her over the season, and I thought her final pieces were still true to her. They were dresses.
Very, very much.
So, and we know she likes dresses and girly things, but she chose a color palette and designs that were far more mature for the modern woman, I thought. And even a mature woman, I would wear those with Spanx.
Magical.
But they were definitely wearable. You could wear bras underneath them, and I thought they were very nicely done, and they were still true to her.
They were really impressive, and I'm not the girliest girl, and I've kind of come down on her for me being a bit too girly over the past few challenges. But I thought her colors were still soft and feminine and womanly and still sweet. There was a sweetness there, at least cap sleeves, and we saw little crystal details, and but I liked her dual. She was thinking of the personality shifts that even one person might have, where you might want to switch your neckline from a scoop neck to a more modest, and show off your back, or that was really great. And then her execution, the little pinstripe details that were just shadowed, those were really beautiful and practical. All of her stuff was very practical. And dresses, I thought it would be a limitation, but for her it made so much sense, because that's, what she's all about, and it does.
And then she had a dress on too that she made that coordinated with all the other 2 pieces.
Exactly.
So she had the little Artfelt handbag, which, like I said, the only thing about that handbag was the braided handle.
It was. I thought that's not going to last a night out.
Well, I bet it'll last. To me, it just looks.
It was too much felt. Yeah, it was too much felt. I would have loved to see. We were just at M&J trimming and went crazy with the chains.
Oh, and there's so much variety.
Yeah, and to see something delicate and metal to contrast with the fuzzy, that was maybe the only weak point. And
Yeah.
other than that, it was a pretty stellar
They were
collection.
beautifully knit. I don't know, when you looked on the inside, which I always do.
Sure. She's really tough on workmanship.
You know, the thing is I love good workmanship.
Absolutely, and it shows.
That's what I love. So I love being able to buy a shirt, anyways.
Yeah.
And it was, the workmanship on those pieces were really lovely. So is there a market for these dresses? I mean.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted to steal that taupe one to take on my next trip and just wear a million
Right.
ways. And I think there's absolutely a knitter, that would want to make those pieces.
So who came up second? John?
John is second.
John Rebe came up second. And his redo, I thought was really quite amazing. I did like that. I mean, I thought it was quite clever the way he used the switch over from the garter stitch to the stockinette to actually do the shaping. I mean, that's a unique way to do it. I never thought of doing that, and it's actually quite smart.
Yeah.
And it looks good on that.
It looked great. I did remind me a bit of Vivian Hawksborough and Hannah Falkenberg. They do a lot of straight play with garter and changing, but it still had so much John in there. I mean, the hem, and he's really gone so far from doing the folded, bulky beaded edge from Challenge 2 to doing this clean edging that none of us had really seen, that was so well thought out and so beautiful and tailored looking.
See, and that's what I think John would bring to the knitting industry, is that, he's designing his own stitches and creating all these wonderful things. I mean, is it design? I mean, stitches are design.
Absolutely.
I mean, his stitch work is what the whole time has impressed me, is just his use of the different stitches. He's always used them really well. At least I even liked the first piece that he did.
I love detail as well. Yeah, that's right. The detail on the back of that one, the little stitching that was perfectly crossed and done with the perfect, it was like a waxed cotton that, he chooses perfectly. The colors were really well chosen.
And the way he carried it into the Artfelt was lovely.
Yes, that was really cool.
That was really a pretty piece. Now that, out of all the Artfelt pieces, is the most doable.
Wow, I was expecting to hear something else, because I feel like it's the most artistic. I mean, maybe it is as well as being the one that I would see in a museum and not, I wouldn't think it looks like it's from 100 years ago, or even further back, and it's stunning.
Well, yeah, the color combination and the stitching
and the delicacy of it.
Well, I think but as far as Artfelt goes and the process goes, I mean, it's a flat piece.
Sure.
So there's absolutely, once you're done, I mean, with the exception of the stitches and so on, there's no shaping to be done or anything like that. It's a long piece. It's more manageable than, per se, Terry's piece or the hat or something.
Sure.
The handbag would also be done flat, and then you would have to know how to do some basic sewing technique for it. But I thought his Artfelt piece was the most doable. His colors, I thought, were great.
They were really good. I mean, I sat down thinking, this is a little bit expected for water, or flow. He was talking about flow a lot, but then they felt really fresh with the addition of that minty sage, which I mentioned before.
And pastels are coming up.
Yes, it's true.
And third up was Tracy Percher. So, which is so funny. We have three very distinct color groupings that they followed here. And hers, I thought, was really unusual for her, because she's been so colorful in the past, and it really shocked me that she said she doesn't like color.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say that this was a little, not, downbeat maybe, but there was a lot of richness up close, I think.
Oh, it was beautiful. I mean, it's, well, you know me.
Right, too.
I like my black. But, I mean, I like wearing colorful things. I thought that had just the perfect amount of color to it. The only thing that's a little scary is that, is the way she actually used the ball, the Zelda ball.
I don't think most people would be willing to do that.
Yeah, that's the only thing. I mean, there's people that do it. We know that. There's people that separate them out and they go by color and do it that way. But from the standpoint of creating a pattern for it and making it work and selling the pattern, it's not the most.
It's yarn mutilation too. I mean, it's, I know that some people do it, but it's nice too when you can just knit and not have to worry about manipulating. I don't know if that was necessary for the pattern. I think that my favorite part was the sleeve and the interesting exposed, cutout. And
That was really pretty.
Not exposed cutout. I think it was just pinched together, and then she said you could move it to kind of make it cozier. That was really cool. Felt like it was a little heavy around the hips, maybe.
Yeah, well, and But yeah, the color worked the way she had it. It was so even and so perfect on both sides.
It
The only
actually,
thing
on the
is,
side, the
it's-
point was not perfectly on the side of the seam. It was sort of in the middle, floating there, and that would have made me twitch, a little bit. And this part
didn't
was
notice that
perfectly
part.
centered, so.
So, and then there's the Artfelt hat. Now the way she did it,
And
there's.
coat. We haven't talked about the coat.
Oh, we haven't talked
I'm
about
mad about the coat.
I'm
I
sorry.
think it's amazing. When I saw it in the photos, I was a little. It's dramatic. I mean, you could absolutely take those sleeves in if you didn't want to do that strong shoulder. But when she started playing with it, and it really did remind me of bravura in its versatility
It
and
is.
simplicity. It was
Yeah.
so cool. And you just bought a cape yesterday that's
I did
very
just buy a cape.
similar. The proportions of it and the fabric and the color play with the sleeves being one strand. And I thought that was really, really cool. So, but then
That's
the hat
right.
as well was.
Well, no, and it's so funny, but I liked the jacket, and I thought it was clever with the side panel, with the flap on the back. I don't know how warm that's going to be, but it's probably a good thing it's probably when you're wearing wide sweaters or
Sure.
something like that, it's probably quite practical to pull it on over. That was probably out of her pieces, my least favorite piece was the jacket, but you loved it, so there we go.
I just think
And-
even if it wasn't perfect, or any of the pieces, there's so many ideas. That's what I said during the
Oh, it was-
discussion, that her
yeah.
ideas are always so interesting.
So she's the idea person.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe it needs tweaking or editing, but you get that when you work with magazines.
Yeah. So, and her hat was very clever. Like, there's other ways to do it with Artfelt that are a little bit simpler, but she doesn't know that, and that's fine. More power to her that she did a hat and she did it with pieces and so on. I'm not sure how that hat's going to look.
I think on
Pretty
some
cool.
people it's
That's-
flattering, yeah.
The bowl hat. All in all, it was a beautiful collection. So she's sort of our technique, and
Yeah.
she's very clever with her patterns
I
type of
think
person.
maybe also, very clever with that. She mentioned
Yeah.
women at the beginning, and then we never returned to that. So I don't know that I get a sense of the woman who is wearing all these items. I think of it as skewing a little older, and also covered up. And I wish she had said that a little more, and I also wish the design said it a bit more on their own, because I don't get a sense of the person who's wearing it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I do. I'm trying to think of, well, I do. I see a more mature woman in that.
Yeah.
I definitely a more mature woman than in any of the other collections that I saw there, at least. But by mature, I just mean
Yeah.
probably not young.
Well, and
in
a
her
dramatic
20s or
and
30s.
bold and
Yeah.
not frivolous,
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah,
person.
yeah, someone who's more, well, actually sophisticated and not so daring. I'm trying to think of the word.
Reserved or strong,
Reserved.
yeah.
Sophisticated yet reserved person.
And Tracy did say that
You
this
know?
collection was her.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Perfect.
I want to see her wearing all of those tomorrow to prove it.
And she would do that.
Yeah,
She would do
sure.
that. So, and then last but not least, we had cherries. Yeah. So, and hers was completely different than the others too.
It really
So-
was. Yeah, she was inspired by Finnish textiles, which we totally got with the graphic block shapes. And,
Very much so.
Yeah.
And the three pieces pulled together nicely. I will say, I had a problem with the switch from the stockinette going out into the ferrule, and
I
not.
did too.
Yeah, I just when you have stockinette and ferrule together, it's really hard to keep the two at the same tension, and it's really hard for a professional knitter. So it's going to be really hard for any other knitter to do it too. And doing something like that, you could do it in Tarsia, but then
Yeah.
that's a lot of work. You
I
got all the
just
little
felt like
lines.
there was some tension issue. The stitches were a bit uneven, which is funny because the other piece, the dress, looked perfectly. Maybe the mohair obscured the tension issues or something. But
Yeah. That piece
yeah.
was not knit or assembled to the same quality.
as
that-
what we're used to.
Well, and Terry's just got a totally different point of view than all of them. So in my eyes, I see John is bringing to the industry someone who would create lots of different types of stitches and things like that. I see Tracy as someone who would bring in different construction. She's like our construction gal. I think that Lauren would bring in a very feminine touch that's still wearable.
Yeah.
So And then Terry is more of her uniqueness in a lot of the pieces that she's had. This has been the most the most reserved, I think, that she's done.
Maybe that's what I felt when there
think.
wasn't the organic and, you know, exuberance that's usually there. I mean,
What are your thoughts? I mean, as far as what do you think they bring to the industry? I mean,
well, I'm so intrigued by Tracy. I know, you know, like we've joked, you know, there are highs and lows, and you have to take the lumps with the good stuff. You know, consistency is an issue, and it's tough to take that risk.
well, I mean, from seeing what she's done, I would know that if I worked with her in the future, you would have to be aware that, you know, sometimes you get a hit and sometimes you get a miss, and it's either a great hit or it's a miss. And sometimes that's hard to deal with. I know the magazines and so on would have a tough time with that because they're counting on a deadline. You send something in that's a miss, what are they going to do with it?
And where does that fit into the knitting world? I mean, do you teach classes on creativity, or do you, you know, do you try to publish by yourself? And you know, then that's a very punishing. You know, if you don't have a hit, you don't make sales, you don't make any money. I mean, I think that the traditional model we're used to, you have to be, and I see Lauren thriving with that. You know, being a reliable, you know, maybe not blowing the doors off every time, but being cute and accessible and wearable and desirable. And you know, I think maybe
That dress she had on was not cute. It was sexy.
but
sorry.
it still was demure. I mean, it wasn't over the top.
Oh no, it wasn't. But what I'm saying, it wasn't.
Yeah,
You know, I mean,
there was a spectrum of.
It wasn't. You know, I wouldn't have described it as being cute.
No, not
I
at
guess.
all. Not
Whereas
at all.
a lot of her stuff, I would have.
Yeah.
You know, like you said,
Right. I think that this is she's made the leap
she's made the
for
leap.
us. You know,
She's
which
made-
we
yeah.
asked her to, which is actually what we've said a million times, which is you have to be responsive to editing and to people giving feedback.
True, and but now John really listened to our feedback too.
True. I forgot where he's come from, and
I mean, if you think about it, I mean, he has really come a long way listening to our feedback. And I think this last collection is just really good proof that, it's very wearable, and I do think that it's sellable.
I think you're right. I think it's just a different demographic. I think for me, and this has been this way since I first saw the pieces, you know, my initial impression was that John and Lauren are equally deserving, but they're just appealing to different groups. And I don't think there's a lot of crossover there, which makes it tough. So.
No, but so do we sort of agree that it's in between John and
yes,
Lauren?
yes.
They would be bringing the most to our industry. I would have to agree, even though I would
Maybe
be
not
willing to
bringing-
work with any of them.
Yes,
again.
and not bringing the most because they all have a lot to offer. Just
Yes,
fitting in.
but
and
fitting in for what
hitting
we
ground
think.
running.
Yes. Yeah.
I do think it's between the two of them. Who want to them wrestle for? Rock, paper, scissors.
You and I are torn, and I like both of them, but I sway towards the side of Lauren, and you like both, but you sway towards the side of John, and we both do it for different reasons. And since this is the people's, we're trying to get the designer for the knitting industry, I have a suggestion. Tonight we're having a people's choice. So at the cocktail party at Vogue Knitting Live, people, the knitters, and these are hardcore knitters who are going to be here, they are going to be voting on the people's choice out of all four of these. So what we'll do at the end of the night is see whether John or Lauren has the most votes, and whoever has the most votes will be the winner. What do you say?
I think that's only fair. I think that answers the question that we've been wanting to answer this whole time, which is what do knitters want, what do they need? And we're very different knitters. We have a lot of things in common, but we also
Have a lot of things.
are in opposite corners sometimes. And so we are just,
Yeah.
we're sick of trying to decide between these two amazing people, and we want to put it to knitters.
Last night we actually had a cocktail party, and at the cocktail party, her and I, we decided that we were going to let the winner be chosen by the people, because this whole contest is to find the next knitwear designer for the knitters. And so whoever the favorite was last night, out of those two, would be the winner. It's Lauren Riker. Are you ready to go to Europe? Come on up.
happening, and so I really, really wanted this, and I'm really excited to go. And for the Addie Knitting Needle Factories and to the yarn factories, I'm so excited!
Oh, that's right. And Lauren is actually hosting the Knit Along in February. So you can come by our booth and get more information on that. So you won't be going to Germany in February. And thank you so much to the others. John, phenomenal work. Thank you so much. Tracy, and Terry, you guys were absolutely fabulous. You made it so hard on us. So thank you for all the time you put in and all the hard work that you did. And thank you all you watchers, and we hope that you watch our next season. Thank you.